video showing a priest torturing two Ghanaian women at his camp has sparked anger among authorities in the northeast region. The two women from Sakogu in the East Mampresi municipality were accused of being witches and forced to the camp to participate in a ritual test that will confirm or deny the allegations against them. The disturbing footage intercepted by JoyNews showed the priest strangling the two women with a broom before dragging their bodies on the floor to force them to confess. The attention of authorities was drawn to this video after a woman was banished from the Sakogu community following her refusal to go to the camp after her name was mentioned as an accomplice by one of the accused women. JoyNews has learned the case has been referred to the Mamprogu overlord, who has since ordered the immediate release of the woman from the camp. Correspondent Elias Tanko reports.
Innocence, and so must participate in the ritual test. The first woman is made to face the shrine while on her knees. The priest appears from her back with two brooms which he binds together across her neck and presses firmly and hardly until she's almost unconscious and forced to confess. Exact a confession from them by any means possible.
To have a conversation on this matter, joining me live is Professor John Azuma, the Executive Director of the Sane Institute, and I'm going to start with him. We also have Francis Xavier, who is the MP for Medina. But let me start with Mr. Azuma. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Good to be here. Thank you.
Now, I mean, you've seen the videos and they're extremely disturbing. Do you think the state is doing enough to halt this blot on our democracy?
Sadly, no. I think we need to be doing more, and we should be moving at a very, very fast pace. And unfortunately, we are not doing that. This is really a stain on the conscience of our nation in the 21st century. And something needs to be done, and done urgently. Education alone is not going to get rid of this evil, customary, and traditional practice that is gender-based violence.
Yeah.
And legislation is needed. And that is what I'm still praying for. And I thank God that we have people like Honorable Xavier and others who are working on this private members bill. We need to fast track it.
All right, talking about bills, you cared enough to draft a bill to make witchcraft accusation illegal. Why is this not receiving the attention it deserves nationally? Why do you think we're so slow in our pace?
Is that question to me or to Francis?
So I'm coming to you.
Yeah. So I think the reason why there's a slow space is, of course, Honorable is here. He will explain more about the process.
Yeah.
But I think the main thing also is lack of political will. And I have said this. If there's political will, this thing needs to be really taken seriously. We are in Parliament talking about many things all the time. These are important things. But this is a deadly issue. This is something that is taking lives of vulnerable, the most vulnerable in our society.
Yeah.
And we need to speed up and the process. So for me, it's a political will. Where there's a political will, this can be done and done very, very expeditiously.
All right, so I'm going to ask you to stay on the line for me. Let me go to MP for Medina, Francis Xavier Sosu, who is spearheading a private member bill in Parliament to criminalize witchcraft accusation. Francis, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, and a very good morning to your cherished viewers.
Now, let's talk about this. How far have you gone with the bill? What's the status? What's the update?
First of all, let me say that it's quite unfortunate to continue to have scenes like what you just showed this morning. It is because of this type of inhumane and dehumanizing treatment. That is the reason why we are pushing for this private members bill. But to add quickly that this bill has been an ongoing process. It was a work being done in the 7th Parliament, led by the Honorable Majority Leader himself and the Honorable Minority Leader, and then Honorable Ladi Ayamba, and one other before. Unfortunately, the bill never got passed in the last Parliament. And when we came to, when we were sworn into this 8th Parliament, because of the passion I had for the area, I had to go back and reorganize and if you like, reintroduce the bill for purposes of consideration. Let me say that these are processes. In the first place, when you introduce a private members bill, once it's been admitted by the Speaker of Parliament, it is referred to the drafting department that would put a draft together. As we speak now, we have a draft. We have the memorandum that is ready, and where we've reached now, it's important that we will get back to the site, the communities in which we record most of these cases, so that we can do stakeholders engagement. And we have planned a stakeholders engagement from the 4th to the 7th of March. And within this period, all the members of Parliament, myself, Dr. Godfred Seydou Jisa, and Honorable Ladi Ayanga, together with Professor Prof, who is speaking on the subject matter. Yeah, Professor Azuma, who is on the subject matter here. And we have others, Steve Jamina, and other people who are major stakeholders in this matter, who are all joining us on the field. In fact, I think multimedia is also is on the team, because we've seen that multimedia has also taken interest in stories in this area, so that we will all join in the stakeholder meeting, after which we believe that we can put finality to the draft and then put it before Parliament for consideration.
I mean, you seem visibly disturbed by the videos that we're playing. You just mentioned that we will have some stakeholder meetings and then hopefully we can have some action. But why is this taking so long? What would it take for Parliament to consider this bill with urgency?
I think that, bills that are taken under state of urgency and so on and so forth are bills that are introduced by government. Now, you know, government has a lot on its table, and sometimes in terms of priority, government may not necessarily be looking at these areas as priority areas for government. And so it will take private members who have interest in the area to rally support and rally support of others to make this happen. And I think that what we've started is the way to go. I am sure that after the stakeholders meeting, we should be able to have some urgency put in this, but it will come as part of advocacy. You know, bills or lawmaking are all national or public policy making, and agenda setting is a critical part of public what we call public policy process, and the work of media men like yourself. And when we get to the field, the kind of stories we are going to pick, both the videos and the insights we'll pick, the sharing of those insights, I'm sure is going to throw more light on the situation, and that could probably get the entire country coming together to move the state machinery to get this bill passed as soon as it is practicable.
All right, so I hear you. So we have a bill, and you're also suggesting that, you know, we go onto the ground and we talk to the people, we check out the situation. But let's go to the reality of things, because this bill might take a while. Like, let's go to the ground. What can we do on the ground right now, tomorrow, the day after tomorrow?
I think what we need to do now is to encourage the Ghana Police Service to increase surveillance in areas where these cases recur, because any form of attack on individual is a criminal offense, not even necessarily because of witchcraft accusation. The fact that this person is beaten and is tortured and is mistreated, these are criminal assaults. And these are cases that can be dealt with swiftly using the existing laws. So I would say that the police will have to be up and doing with arrest and prosecution of people who perpetrate this kind of violence on people in the name of witchcraft. You may not charge them under any law against witchcraft. However, you can charge them for criminal assault.
Mr. Azuma, I'm going to throw that question to you also. What can we do on the ground?
Thank you. And I agree with Honorable 100% that the media is very important. And I want to commend JoyNews for taking up this issue. You know, with politicians and like with any society, when the thing is out of view, it's out of mind. So out of sight, out of mind. So we need to keep this up. And I am so grateful that you are doing this. But to follow up on what Honorable said, I think that there are enough provisions for people to be charged. But if you rely on the victims to go and report, look at this poor woman. She will not go to the police. She cannot go to the police. The community will prevail on her. They will put pressure on her not to report this issue. The state must take these things up. This is something that the state should step up. And when these cases are reported, they are never prosecuted to the end. They put pressure on them to drop the cases. And all interference, even sometimes interference from lawmakers who will ask these victims to drop these cases. So I think everybody needs to be up, and the media have to keep the spotlight on this, interview the right people. I am glad you've got Honorable here. Call the MP of the area where this is happening. Interview them, put them on the spot, hold their feet to the fire. This is how we have to go with the advocacy and the pressure.
Okay, talking about pressure, I'm going to come to you, Francis. The Gender Ministry has been extremely quiet on matters like this, and this is not the first time something like this is happening. Let's discuss that.
I think it's quite worrying, extremely worrying to have this level of very, very obvious absence of any form of either advocacy in the area by the Gender Ministry. And for me, it's very worrying because the core mandate of the Gender Ministry, which is the protection of children, women, and vulnerable people in the society, includes educating the society in respect of matters like this, and also providing victim support for areas like this. So in cases like this, once the media brings it out, I'm expecting that the Gender Ministry would, through the Department of Social Welfare, even lead the way to make reports in those communities, get officers of social welfare to do follow-ups, and let's see what kind of support we can provide the victims of such violations. But unfortunately, I think the Gender Ministry has been, loudly silent in this area, and for me, it calls for a lot of concern. And I definitely today, I'm going to file a parliamentary question asking the Gender Ministry or the Minister in charge of Gender, Children and Social Protection, what steps are being taken to deal with these matters and provide support for victims of such violations.
All right. Thank you so much for your time, gentlemen. I had Professor John Azuma, who's the Executive Director of the Sani Institute, and also MP for Medina, Francis Xavier Sosu. And in conclusion, what matters the most for us to deal with this menace is boots on the ground and advocacy. Thank you so much for your time, gentlemen. Now let's do other stories. Let's go to Ukraine and Russia, where the National Union of Ghana Students, NUGS, has called on governments to consider the immediate evacuation of Ghanaian students from the Ukraine-Russia region following reports of tensions and violent clashes. NUG's General Secretary Julius Kwame Anthony pleaded with government to accelerate the evacuation of Ghanaian students from any impending danger.
You know, to Ghanaian students or even Ghanaians in general in Ukraine as to what our mission is to do over there, whether there will be flights available for them to even make payments and nothing of the sort. Meanwhile, I've been corresponding with our colleagues up there, and I have of all the other embassies, the Embassy of India, the Embassy of Peru, Embassy of Egypt, all of them giving clear directives to their students as to what exactly to do, who to call, all those things. And
so basically, from what you're saying, Julius, you've been interacting with students there, just to clarify, you've been interacting with Ghanaian students there, and the feeling is they don't know their left from their right. They don't know what the way forward is. You speak of the embassies, the missions of India, Egypt, and the rest, reaching out to their students, telling them what to do, what not to do, and all that. But nothing as far as the Ghanaians are concerned.
Nothing. No formal statements that can be referenced, nothing of the sort.
How worried are the students, those you've interacted with? How worried are they?
Yeah, they're very worried. As I some of them who have the means are already in Ghana.
Wow.
I met two of them yesterday who are already in Ghana. And one was even in Kharkiv. And Kharkiv was one of the regions that there were airstrikes today. And I was speaking to him this dawn, and according to him, others are calling him with a whole lot of frustration. I spoke with quite a number, even prior to the airstrikes this morning.
Right.
That was yesterday in the day. And there's a sense of worry, but we don't seem to see any urgency, you know, in response to that level of worry. And with this sort of thing, I don't think that we even need students to start expressing worry before government acts. Once this situation begins, it's incumbent on, you know, our mission over there to give direction. And there's no embassy of Ghana in Ukraine itself directly. It's only in Switzerland, and then there's a consulate who works with those in Ukraine. But up to now, there's been no statement from them to give any direction like the others are doing. And personally, I feel frustrated by it because we were in China, you know, in the advent of COVID, even though COVID is not necessarily war. There's a state of emergency. We were having, if in case of anything, called. When there was the need for evacuation, we were evacuated. So to have a similar situation in what appears to be, tensions and possibilities of an all-out war, we feel that government is not doing enough.
Meanwhile, Member of Parliament for Anyaso Tom Dixon Adomako-Kesi says an urgent question will be filed for the Foreign Affairs Ministry on the matter.
We need to pose a question to our Foreign Affairs Ministry and have the Foreign Affairs Ministry answer to us as Ghanaians as to what steps or what they know. And I think that would be apt. And that would be an urgent question. It is an urgent question.
Well, over to you. So,
yeah, I agree largely with what he has said, except that I don't agree that it is too early for us to do anything. I think that it is.
I don't think he.
I said evacuation.
That's what he said. He said it's too early
to evacuate.
To consider evacuation. We should wait and see.
So not anything.
The students don't feel that way, trust me.
Yeah, exactly. That's the point. That's where I disagree. I don't think that it is too early for us to begin to consider evacuation.
Right.
Evacuation is not just an event. It's going to take a whole lot of processes put in place for that to happen. And so we must begin doing that now. Especially when we are told that communication lines are being cut off, food supplies will soon become a challenge.
And even the possibility of flying out is
will also become a challenge. So I think we must begin to put the structures in place to ensure that they are evacuated from Ukraine as soon as...
To other stories now, President Akufo-Addo has given the strongest indication that the Comenda Sugar Factory will start operations in April this year. According to him, civil works being undertaken by the Indian investors will be completed by end of March, paving way for the production of sugar to begin. The operationalization of the factory was perhaps one of the major political issues in the central region in the 2016 and 2020 elections. The Commander Sugar Factory continues to remain a big albatross on the neck of government. Receiving a delegation from the Commander Traditional Authority, the President said government is determined to get the factory running. More on him shortly, but first listen to the acting President of Commander Traditional Council, Nana Kwahin, the fifth, who says a 20-acre land has been secured to grow sugarcane to feed the factory.
Meno KCCA, Commander Sugar Factory have started. Actually, almost about 50 from Mashawa, Sisa war painting as it was CCC, on Chebiano, Yobashase for the processing with the raw material. Now, Mr. President, outgrowers, you be here at this time because the original land now were allocated for friend and sugar factory, no, about 5,000 and over. No, see, them land now about by year if he, see, Commander Man was here, then come find sugar factory, no, protein no ha sugar factory ni ready. Name won't to me nyafa, into me near shade no sabi, you crum ho. Na yawo asase a o wasa fiase side wa yane na wasa nana himan yakasa ma wonso waje atomu de time no so for maybe production or sugarcane production na obeyi asase na was a the major man.
President Akufo-Addo is optimistic the factory will generate the needed jobs for residents in the regions and sugarcane outgrowers.
Sugar factory. Still, some civil works are being done there. Nyampa, by the end of March, it will be completed. As I say planning, no Indian fauna by whenever by April, production will have begun of the sugar factory. Sugar factory, about the Yasam Cassia. It been said 1 year, Zukoria, na Aquaba, Yami. Adaruma afedia mse muamma hu se isikwan paso na eba nti ye hwenya me se by April no na nyema no so atuya ebekwanim.
Spare parts dealers say the depreciation of the cedi has caused spare parts prices to increase. In our Living Standard series, our reporter Mamiesi Thompson reports that new prices at the Abosokai spare parts market is frustrating drivers who already feel burdened by high cost of fuel.
Duty would report to her, Ubetia and Kratana Dina Eguha. Madam, be Piacoso.
19 Uzuna MY.
Last year, we sent a near 600, and they remember almost $1 cost until no 800.
Prince Bosa, a taxi driver, is in a pensive mood. His car engine seat is faulty. He had postponed the repairs because of inadequate funds, but it has become necessary for him to replace the part. After battling the high cost of fuel, he is in a bad financial space. He visits the Abosokai spare parts market to buy an engine seat with an amount of 90 cedis after receiving hints from other drivers that a second-hand part may cost less. However, he gets here and realizes that the engine seat no longer sells at 90 but 120 cedis. He desperately searches other shops hoping to get a cheaper one, but many other shops were selling at a higher price. He is confused and frustrated and tries to negotiate the price.
Reduce it. The system is hard. I'm hoping that he'll reduce the price.
now so Nina Yaka, and at the end, so could try tiny shima. We a home use bush. Could try tiny shima by Bishop Babaka. I was a wedding, I didn't know, said, I'm a Tommy engine seat, Mammy.
I came here to buy an engine seat, and the price has ballooned to 120 cedis.
120.
I firmly believe that I have great negotiation skills, so I stepped in to help. But I could not sway the spare parts dealer.
What for now? Just money. President Cassidy, your fine yaman this year, you have to be BM. And I say, also one shadow Yamania.
Please reduce it for him. Oh no, I can't reduce it. The 90 cedis will not help. You know, I wish I could just give it to him, but I will incur losses.
90 Nozuna, MY.
The dealer explains why he would not accept any amount below 120 cedis.
Oh, dollar no so cost. Oh no, bano. Duty obituano. Say duty no costra. Ana yen so kan. Say duty no former en kan. Say offer container back come fan say 100.
The bloggers say the duty is high. Initially, we could go for the parts on credit, but now they demand the cash before they give it to us because they want to make profit.
But it's sad here. It's not the duty na e no. Ono so say be o koji loan. Ana de kwa yi ne nyama. The container. Intiano so be ye na so obagiska no.
Praise hesitates, but finally decided to pay the 120 cedis. It felt as though he was donating his kidney.
Fu na kwosoro. Ka first ndi enka sales no ewo fam. Ba say no sales no aba fam na fu no mako akwosoro nka sales dey no first no say ye sales no 50 Ghana wato fu abia 40 cedis. Ba say no fu na ba buru sales no so. If I say me 70 cedis a day, me tofu 100 Ghana, acquire 170 cedis.
Spare parts dealers say the cedi depreciation is negatively affecting their businesses. Ojas Auto Parts deals in all kinds of spare parts. He says his capital keeps dwindling and his customers are also having a hard time accepting the frequent increase in car parts prices. Mechanic Jacob Wusu is here to purchase an oil pump for his client. He is astounded by the recent cost of spare parts. The oil pump was 600 cedis last year, but is now selling at 800 cedis. He now has to go back all the way to renegotiate with his client after driving through congested traffic to get to Abosokai.
Last year, the price has suddenly gone up by 200 cedis. How am I going to make up for the difference? Only last year, November, it was 600.
The owner of Ojas Auto Parts lists challenges plaguing his business.
The crown almost be 50,000. $dollars, Obroni sika dollars. Umuna mekra enema no e de buy. Na duty a we do report ho a obetua nkrata na de nyina egu ha. Madam, bibia kwosoro. Bibia kwosoro. Kan no ye container efi Korea nanka 3,500 US.
Last week, I imported parts worth $50,000. I paid duty of almost $10,000. The city too keeps depreciating. Madam, it's not easy for us. It is too harsh. Something must be done. As a result, we are unable to sell.
Now 21,000 Ghana cedis. Na ene no, o de memfa no say 75. Na me dia kra na ma mi kotua fruit 75. It is 7,500. 10,000. $10,000 na ne dollar na could do 75 no times 7.5. And then we hear 75,000 Ghana cedis.
There are varying reasons for customers who come to purchase. For some, Ghana is facing economic challenges. Others, however, attribute the high cost of spare parts to greed.
chika ana me beto ade ya ka hu bi metimi suma me driver say koto ade dey ebreme.
People claim that things are expensive and blame the government, but I believe sometimes we are the cause of our own problems. Sometimes people intentionally inflate the prices and blame it on government.
Greed or economic challenges? The fact is, people are spending more to replace parts and get the cars moving.
You're still watching JoyNews Desk with me, Mapita Sibidi. Still to come, it's 56 years today since the coup that ousted Ghana's first president, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. We'll tell you all about that shortly after this. Some members of the New Patriotic Party in the Fomena constituency in the Ashanti region are aggrieved at the suspension of internal elections. There's more in this story.
The concerned members of the MPPC attempts by the party hierarchy to impose Andrew Samoa Singama on them is illegal because he has forfeited his MPP membership after he stood as an independent candidate in the 2020 parliamentary election.
At the national level to impose Honorable Amakwe Siama, the independent member of parliament of Fomena constituency, on the party in the 2024 elections. These attempts are what we believe have culminated in the suspension of the internal party elections in the Fomena constituency. For the avoidance of doubt, the constitution of the NPP provides in Article 3, Clause 9, subsection 1, and as follows: a member of the party who stands as an independent candidate against the officially elected member of the party, or who joins or declares his or her support for another political party or in for another independent candidate, when the party has sponsored a candidate in a general or by-election, automatically forfeit his or her membership of the party. You will recall that Honorable Asiama was the NPP MP for Fomena from 7 January 2017 until his seat was declared vacant on or around 7th November 2020 parliamentary election as an independent candidate. At the time when the party had duly elected a parliamentary candidate. Despite the fact that Honorable Asiama subsequently won the election and chose to do business with the NPP group in Parliament, there is no doubt that he is no longer a member of the NPP, and neither are his close associates who campaigned vigorously and openly for him in the 2020 elections. This is in accordance with Article 3, Clause 9 of the NPP Constitution, which, to the best of our knowledge, is still in effect.
The group says the suspension of the internal party elections in Fomena constituency is unacceptable.
We respectfully request to be furnished with responses to the following within 1 week. 1. A formal written explanation from the National Executive Committee of the NPP as to why internal party elections in Fomena constituency have been suspended. 2. A formal written communication from the National Executive of the NPP of the purported decision to impose Honorable Amakwe Siama on the party in the 2024 election, even though he is not a member of the NPP in light of Article 3, Clause 9 of the NPP's Constitution. 3. A formal written communication of the purported decision to allow Honorable Asiama's close associates and supporters, all of whom are not members of the NPP, in accordance with Article 3, Clause 9, subsection 1 of the NPP's party's constitution, to contest in the internal party elections in Fomena constituency.
You're still watching JoyNews Desk. Up next is business.
Hello, welcome to Business. My name is Darryl Kwao. Workers of Textiles Ghana Limited, producers of GTB fabric, have staged a demonstration this morning over poor working conditions. Take a look at this. All right, so those are images we are receiving from our correspondent who is covering that demonstration for us. We will link up with him subsequently for more updates on it. But the latest is that workers of Textiles Ghana Limited, producers of GTB fabric, are demonstrating this morning, demanding better working conditions. Let's move on now. Ghana's trade surplus will narrow to $1 billion in 2022. That's a forecast by Fit Solutions. This will appear on the back of rising consumer-driven import growth, whilst falling oil and cocoa production will temper export growth. It may also have an impact on the country's balance of payment and consequently the value of the cedi. Charles Nexenyaboa has more.
It's coming despite crude oil trading at about $97 on the world market. According to Fit Solutions, a 1.9% decline in oil production in 2022 as a result of recent low exploration activity and continued investor insecurity is a major concern. This will keep production below pre-pandemic levels and subsequently weigh on exports. Oil actually represented 23.2% of the country's total exports in 2020. Fit Solutions agribusiness team also forecast a 3.5% decline in cocoa production, largely as a result of base effect as well as structural issues such as labor problems and fragmentation. As cocoa exports made up of 16.6% of exports in 2020, this will also weigh on export growth. It, however, anticipates a stronger gold production and prices in the coming year, though this will not be enough to offset the aforementioned factors and affect the country's balance of payment and consequently the value of the cedi. Ghana recorded a trade surplus of a little above $1.1 billion last year, lower than the about $2 billion recorded in 2020.
All right, that's your business update for now. Remember that we are following for you the demonstration by workers of Textiles Ghana Limited, producers of GTB fabric. Will bring you updates subsequently. More news on our website, myjoyonline.com/business. Up next, sports.